First contact gone wrong. The message came on a quiet Tuesday morning in 2035. Radio astronomers at the Global Space Observatory detected an unusual pattern of signals from the direction of Alpha Centauri. After weeks of analysis, Dr. Alan Foster confirmed what humanity had speculated about for centuries. We were not alone. The signals contained mathematical sequences and what appeared to be an invitation. Earth's nations, setting aside their differences for perhaps the first time in history, assembled a response team. Dr. Foster, a renowned linguist and physicist, was selected to lead the diplomatic mission aboard the newly completed interstellar vessel Pathfinder. "This is our moment," Alan told his wife the night before departure. "Everything in human history has led to this meeting." The journey took 14 months, even with the experimental drive system. 7 crew members spent their days preparing for first contact. Captain Lisa Reeves, a veteran pilot with nerves of steel. Communications Officer Ben Wright. Medical Officer Cynthia Davis. Security Chief Frank Miller. Engineers Kelly Anderson and Joe Phillips. And Dr. Foster himself. They arrived at the designated coordinates to find a massive structure floating in space, a Vorax outpost, though they didn't know that name yet. The alien vessel dwarfed the Pathfinder, its surface covered in unusual geometric patterns that seemed to shift and change. "Opening communications channel," Ben announced, his voice steady despite the tension. "Transmitting our greeting package." A response came quickly. Strange symbols flashed across their screens, which their computers gradually translated. The aliens invited them to dock. "It seems friendly enough," Alan said, but Lisa noticed something in his expression. "You have concerns?" she asked. "Just caution. We're making history here, but we're also very far from home." The Pathfinder docked with the alien structure. The team prepared in the airlock, hearts racing as the door slowly opened to reveal 3 tall, insect-like beings. They had 6 limbs and compound eyes that reflected the humans' nervous faces back at them. Communication was difficult but possible through the translation devices. The aliens identified themselves as the Vorax and invited the humans to tour their facility. For 3 days, things proceeded smoothly. The Vorax seemed curious, asking countless questions about Earth, human biology, and society. On the 4th day, everything changed. Frank noticed it first: equipment disappearing, blood samples taken without permission, and the growing sense they were being studied rather than engaged with as equals. "They're treating us like specimens," he whispered to Lisa during a quiet moment. "I don't like it." That night, Alan discovered files on a Vorax terminal showing plans for Earth. He couldn't understand all of it, but the images were clear: invasion strategies, human physiology marked with weaknesses, Earth's resources categorized for extraction. "We need to leave," Alan told the team during an emergency meeting. Now, before they could act, alarms blared throughout the station. The Vorax had discovered Alan's access to their files. "Run," Lisa shouted as the first energy blast tore through the corridor. The crew fled toward the Pathfinder, but the Vorax were faster. One by one, the humans fell. Frank died providing cover fire. Kelly and Joe were caught trying to secure the docking bay. Ben, Cynthia, and Alan were cornered just meters from safety. "Take this," Alan said, pressing a data drive into Lisa's hand. "Earth needs to know." Lisa made it to the Pathfinder alone. With shaking hands, she disengaged from the alien station and activated the engines. Energy beams lashed out, damaging the ship's systems, but she pushed the drive to its limits and escaped. For months, she drifted back toward Earth, conserving power and watching for pursuit. The data drive contained everything: Vorax technology, their biology, and most importantly, their plans for humanity. When Lisa finally reached Earth orbit, weak from minimal life support but alive, her message was simple and grim. "They're coming, and they don't see us as equals. They see us as prey." That day, humanity realized the universe was not the welcoming place they had hoped, but they also understood something else. They now had time to prepare. The Quiet Revolution. Earth changed the day Captain Lisa Reeds returned. Within hours of her landing, the United Nations called an emergency session. World leaders gathered in New York to watch her footage of the Vorax attack and review the stolen data. "We have 15 years, maybe 20, before they reach us," General Sam Harrison told the silent room. "And when they come, they won't be looking for friendship." The vote was unanimous. For the first time in history, every nation agreed to a single purpose: survival. They called it the Vigilance Protocol, a global initiative to prepare Earth for the coming storm. "What we do in the open stays normal," explained Olivia Martinez, the newly appointed head of global defense. "Let them think we're still just primitive humans arguing over borders. But beneath the surface, we transform." And transform they did. Hidden factories sprang up in mountain ranges and deep underwater. Ordinary skyscrapers concealed missile silos. Farms hid entrances to vast underground complexes. On the surface, life continued as always. But beneath, humanity prepared for war. Dr. Eric Collins led the scientific revolution. With a team of the world's best minds, he studied the Vorax technology Lisa had brought back. "Their physics isn't magic," Eric told his team during their first meeting in an underground lab beneath Antarctica. "Different, yes, but not incomprehensible. We can do this." Progress came in leaps. Solar power efficiency tripled within 2 years. Quantum computing became practical in 4. By year 5, the first human-made gravity manipulator was tested successfully. The military advancement was equally impressive. Deep in the Nevada desert, pilots trained on simulators for spacecraft that were still being designed. In the forests of Brazil, Special Forces soldiers learned to fight in powered armor. Beneath the Indian Ocean, engineers assembled pieces of a global defense network. "We're not just catching up," Sam told the World Security Council during year 7. "We're pushing beyond." Orbital platforms disguised as communication satellites took position. Each contained weapons that could strike with incredible speed and accuracy. The Moon, long ignored after the early exploration days, saw new interest as construction began on hidden bases across its dark side. Not everyone agreed with the militarization. Protests occasionally broke out in major cities. People questioned the massive spending on infrastructure projects that seemed to produce nothing visible. "Tell me again why my children's hospital lost funding while you build another research facility," a reporter asked Olivia during a tense press conference. She paused before answering. "I have children too. What we're doing isn't just about weapons. It's about having a future where hospitals matter at all." Year 10 brought the breakthrough everyone had been waiting for. In a facility deep beneath Mount Fuji, Dr. Collins and his team succeeded in recreating the Vorax faster-than-light drive. "We don't just have claws now," he said as the prototype engine hummed to life. "We have wings." By year 13, Earth had constructed its first true battleships, hidden in massive underwater hangars. The vessels incorporated everything humanity had learned and invented, yet looked nothing like what the Vorax might expect. They were designed to be unpredictable. While the preparations continued, careful attention was paid to maintaining Earth's appearance from space. Cities still lit up at night. Radio signals remained unchanged. Pollution levels stayed consistent. To any watching eyes, humans were still just arguing, dancing, playing, and living as they always had. "The greatest advantage in any battle," Sam often said, "is when your enemy underestimates you." As year 15 approached, humanity stood transformed, united, armed, and ready. The surface of Earth looked peaceful and primitive, but beneath that thin veneer waited a civilization that had accomplished in 15 years what might normally take 100. They weren't just preparing for an invasion. They were preparing a surprise. The hunter becomes the hunted. The first sign came from Neptune's orbit. A strange distortion appeared, barely visible even to Earth's enhanced telescopes. Commander Kate Wilson was on duty at Lunar Defense Station Alpha when the alert came through. "Movement detected," reported her sensor operator. Pattern matches what we expected from Vorax ships entering normal space. Kate studied the images carefully. How many? 3 vessels. Scout class, if Dr. Foster's data is accurate. Kate nodded. For 15 years, they had prepared for this moment. Now it was time to see if their preparation was enough. Activate scan blocking. Keep all defensive systems in passive mode. Let's see what they do when they think we're blind. Across the solar system, hidden sensors tracked the alien ships as they moved inward. The Vorax scouts passed Jupiter, then Mars, running what they believed were undetectable scans of human activity. Earth appeared just as they expected. Radio signals showing television broadcasts, satellite communications, and airline traffic patterns of a developing world. What they couldn't see were the thousands of stealth platforms orbiting silently, or the defense grid waiting in standby mode. Kate watched from the command center as the scout ships approached Earth orbit, completely unaware they were being tracked. "They're splitting up," her tactical officer reported. 1 heading for lunar orbit, 2 remaining near Earth. Kate pressed a button on her console. "All stations, maintain position. Remember your training. These aren't the first aliens we've seen, but they think we're seeing our first aliens." The lunar scout ship moved into position over the dark side of the moon, directly above the hidden base. Kate smiled. "Perfect. Initiate capture protocol." Without warning, hidden gravity manipulators activated from the lunar surface. The Vorax ship suddenly found itself trapped in an invisible field that neutralized its engines. Before it could send a distress signal, specialized jammers blocked all outgoing communications. "Boarding teams, move in," Kate ordered. From concealed hangars, 3 human ships launched. They were small, fast, and designed specifically for this mission. They reached the disabled Vorax vessel in minutes. Inside each human ship were specially trained soldiers wearing powered armor designed to counter Vorax weapons. The boarding was quick and precise. The Vorax crew, expecting no resistance, were overwhelmed before they could organize a defense. Within 30 minutes, Kate received the confirmation she had been waiting for. "Commander, scout ship secured. 5 Vorax captured alive. Minimal damage to the vessel." Kate turned to her communications officer. "Now for Phase 2. Send the signal." Near Earth, the other 2 Vorax ships suddenly detected unusual energy readings. Before they could react, seemingly primitive satellites transformed, revealing advanced weapon systems. The Vorax attempted to flee, but found their engines mysteriously failing as hidden gravity weapons activated around them. 1 ship was captured intact. The other chose self-destruction rather than capture, but not before Earth forces extracted valuable data from its systems. Within 6 hours, engineer Paul Rodriguez led a team examining the captured vessels in a hidden facility beneath the Pacific Ocean. "Their technology is impressive," Paul told Kate during his preliminary report, "but it has weaknesses we never anticipated from the original data." He pointed to the ship's power core. "Their shields have a fluctuation pattern we can exploit, and their weapons systems overheat after sustained use. They're built for quick conquests against unprepared opponents." Kate nodded. "And we're neither quick nor unprepared." "Exactly. We can build countermeasures for everything they have." As night fell across Earth, most humans went about their lives unaware of the day's events. News channels reported normal stories. People ate dinner, watched movies, and went to bed. But in secured facilities around the world, scientists and military leaders studied the captured technology, planning humanity's next move. The hunters had become the hunted, and the Vorax still didn't know it. The message. The United Earth Council gathered in the underground chamber beneath Geneva. 50 representatives from every continent sat around a circular table, their faces serious under the soft blue lighting. In the center stood a holographic display showing the captured Vorax vessels and the data extracted from them. "We've learned something critical," General Sam Harrison announced. "The Vorax aren't the only spacefaring species out there. Their databases contain information on at least 12 other civilizations, some allies, some subjects, some enemies. Ambassador Nicole Baker leaned forward. She had once been a school teacher before the world changed. Now she represented humanity in what would be its first intentional message to the stars. And they all communicate using the same basic network? She asked. Dr. Eric Collins nodded. Yes, think of it as a galactic internet. The Voraks use it to coordinate their empire. We can use it to send our message to everyone at once. Sam activated another display. Our intelligence shows the Voraks have already sent word back to their fleet. They believe their scouts were lost to natural causes, a solar flare or asteroid collision. But they're sending more. A lot more. Then we don't have much time, Nicole said. Let's finalize our message. For 3 days, the Council debated every word. This would be humanity's formal introduction to the galaxy, not as victims or primitives, but as equals demanding respect. On the 4th day, they'd reached agreement. It needs to be clear, Nicole told them. Firm but not threatening. We want peace, but we will not accept conquest. The final version was approved unanimously. Nicole would deliver it personally, her image to be broadcast using the captured Voraks communication technology. At the appointed hour, Nicole stood before the camera in a simple blue uniform. Behind her hung only the flag of Earth, a blue globe surrounded by olive branches on a black background. No weapons, no military symbols, nothing that could be mistaken for aggression. The technicians gave her the signal, and she began to speak. To all sentient beings receiving this transmission, I am Ambassador Nicole Baker of Earth. We recently encountered a species known as the Voraks who came to our world with conquest in mind. This message serves as our response, not just to them, but to all who might follow. Nicole's voice remained steady as she continued. Humanity is a young species by galactic standards. We have only recently developed interstellar technology. But make no mistake, we are ready to defend ourselves. The broadcast shifted to show brief demonstrations of Earth's new defensive capabilities: gravity weapons disabling asteroids, energy shields deflecting massive impacts, and stealth vessels appearing from seemingly empty space. These are not threats, Nicole continued as her image returned. They are simply facts. We have prepared, we are vigilant, and we will protect our home. Any species approaching Earth with peaceful intentions will find friends eager to learn and share. Those approaching with conquest in mind will find only regret. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. We understand there are many civilizations watching. Some may have suffered under conquest. Some may live in fear. Know that Earth stands ready not only to defend itself, but to build a different kind of community among the stars. One based on mutual respect and cooperation. The camera zoomed in slightly on Nicole's face, showing her determined expression. This is humanity's final warning. We are ready. We are waiting. The choice of how we meet, as friends or as adversaries, is yours. We sincerely hope it is the former. The transmission ended, broadcasting simultaneously across the communication channels used by all known spacefaring species. Within minutes, the monitoring stations detected hundreds of acknowledgement signals from across the galaxy. In the control room, Sam turned to Nicole. Do you think they'll listen? Nicole watched the incoming signals with a mixture of hope and determination. Some will, others won't, but none can say they weren't warned. Outside, life on Earth continued. People went to work, children played in parks, and the sun set over peaceful cities. But in space, everything had changed. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy, not as prey, but as a power to be respected. Divide and conquer. 6 months after Earth's message, diplomatic officer Greg Martinez stepped onto a transport vessel disguised as a Vorak supply ship. His mission was among the most dangerous ever attempted. Infiltrate Vorak's territory and gather intelligence on their society from within. Remember, your implants will make you appear Voraks to their scanners, said Diane Powell, his handler and Earth's lead intelligence analyst. But visual inspection will still reveal you're human. Stay hidden." Greg nodded, touching the small device under his skin that would mask his human biosignature. "If what we suspect is true, I'll find allies out there." The journey took 3 weeks, traveling through carefully mapped routes to avoid Vorax patrols. Their destination was Nexus Station, a massive trading hub at the edge of Vorax space where dozens of species conducted business under Vorax oversight. When they arrived, Greg was stunned by the diversity. Beings of all shapes moved through the crowded station, some with multiple limbs, others floating on cushions of air, some nearly human-like. All of them moved with the same cautious deference when Vorax officials passed by. "Fear," Greg whispered to himself. "Their empire is built on fear." He spent the first week simply observing, hidden in maintenance tunnels and cargo holds. He recorded conversations, mapped patrol patterns, and identified which species seemed most resentful of Vorax rule. On the 10th day, he took a risk. A small 4-armed being was being harassed by a Vorax guard over shipping taxes. When the guard stepped away momentarily, Greg approached. "I can help you," he whispered. The being's large eyes widened. "What are you?" "I've never seen your kind before. I'm human, from Earth, and I think we share a common problem with our Vorax friends." After that first contact, things moved quickly. The being, who called himself Zell, belonged to a species called the Narin. They had been one of the first conquered by the Vorax 3 centuries earlier. "There are many who resist," Zell told Greg in a hidden compartment beneath a market stall. "But we are scattered, without coordination or advanced weapons." Greg smiled. "That's exactly why I'm here." Over the next month, Greg connected with resistance groups from 6 different species. Each had been fighting their own isolated battle against Vorax occupation. None knew about Earth or its recent warning message. "They blocked all transmissions to subject worlds," explained Tala, a tall crystalline being who led a resistance cell. "They fear what would happen if we knew others stood against them." Greg used a secure quantum communicator to relay information back to Diane. Each transmission included vital intelligence, Vorax fleet movements, weaknesses in their command structure, and most importantly, the growing network of allies. "We're making progress," Diane reported during their scheduled check-in. "The Council has approved the next phase. We're sending supplies." Small, unmarked vessels began arriving at predetermined coordinates, delivering Earth-made weapons designed to work with each species' unique physiology. More importantly, they'd brought communication devices that couldn't be monitored by Vorax technology. For the first time, resistance movements across 20 star systems could coordinate their efforts. "Your timing is perfect," Greg told Diane during a rare video transmission. "The Vorax are pulling ships from occupation duties to form an attack fleet. They're coming for Earth." Diane's expression remained calm. "We know, and we're ready. What about your end?" Greg glanced at the room around him, now filled with representatives from a dozen species. "We will be. The Vorax have ruled through division for too long. They've never faced a united opposition. On a dozen worlds, resistance leaders gathered their forces. The weapons from Earth gave them a fighting chance, but their greatest advantage was surprise. The Vorax, focused on their planned conquest of Earth, never imagined an attack from within. As the main Vorax fleet departed for Earth, they left behind worlds guarded by skeleton crews, never suspecting that their own subjects were now armed, organized, and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The hunters were about to face attacks from directions they never expected, and Greg Martinez stood ready to give the signal that would ignite a galactic rebellion. The Earth defense grid activated. The warning came at dawn. Orbital sensors detected massive energy signatures at the edge of the solar system. The Vorax battle fleet had arrived. Larger than anyone had predicted, nearly 300 vessels of various sizes emerged from faster-than-light travel near Neptune's orbit. In the Global Defense Headquarters beneath the Rocky Mountains, Commander Jack Murphy watched the holographic display with steady eyes. "They're not being subtle," he remarked. "They want us to see them coming." Admiral Susan Clark nodded. Her responsibility was Earth's hidden fleet, now stationed throughout the solar system. Psychological warfare. They expect us to panic. Around the world, military personnel moved to their assigned positions with practiced efficiency. Civilian populations continued their daily routines, most still unaware of what approached. Only a slight increase in security personnel and occasional practice drills hinted at the coming confrontation. Jack activated the global communication system. All defense grid stations. This is command. Maintain passive status. Let them come to us. The Vorax fleet moved methodically, their formation suggesting complete confidence. Smaller scout vessels moved ahead, scanning for defenses but finding nothing beyond what they expected from a pre-stellar civilization. Earth's true capabilities remained invisible to their instruments. 3 days after their arrival, the Vorax reached Earth orbit. Their massive command ship took position directly above the United Nations headquarters in New York, a clear symbolic choice. A transmission broadcast on all frequencies, translated automatically by Earth's systems. People of Earth, your planet is now under Vorax protection. Your resources and labor now serve the Empire. Resistance will result in planetary bombardment. You have 1 hour to surrender your governing bodies. In the command center, Jack looked to Susan. "I believe that's our cue." Susan nodded. "Defense grid activate. Authorization Sierra Alpha 9. Across Earth's orbit, thousands of previously invisible platforms suddenly powered up. What had appeared to be ordinary satellites, space debris, and even small asteroids transformed, revealing advanced weapon systems that had been hiding in plain sight for years. The Vorax fleet responded with confusion, their sensors suddenly overwhelmed by targets that hadn't existed moments before. First phase, Jack ordered. Gravity disruption. Hundreds of specialized emitters activated simultaneously, creating localized gravity fields that immobilized the smaller Vorax vessels. Their engines strained against invisible forces, unable to maintain position or retreat. The larger ships attempted to fire their weapons, but found their targeting systems inexplicably failing. Earth's defense platforms had been specifically designed to exploit the weaknesses Paul Rodriguez had identified in the captured scout ships. "Fleet Command, you are cleared to engage," Susan transmitted to her waiting ships. From behind the moon, from Earth's oceans, and from hidden asteroid bases, humanity's vessels emerge. Unlike the massive, intimidating Vorax ships, Earth's fleet consisted of smaller, faster craft designed for maneuverability and surprise. They moved in coordinated patterns that confused Vorax targeting systems. The first wave of human ships targeted the Vorax command vessel, not with destructive weapons, but with specialized devices that attached to its hull and disrupted its communication systems. Within minutes, the Vorax fleet lost contact with their leaders. "They're attempting to regroup," reported the tactical officer. "Moving to defensive formation." Jack nodded. "Initiate main defense grid." The platforms surrounding Earth activated their primary weapons, not the planet-destroying lasers the Vorax might have expected, but precisely targeted electromagnetic pulses that overloaded Vorax shields exactly as their captured technology had indicated they would. Ship after ship lost power, drifting helplessly in Earth orbit. Those that maintained function found themselves surrounded by Earth vessels that seemed to appear from nowhere, exploiting stealth technology beyond Vorax understanding. From the ground, civilians finally noticed the light show taking place above them. Strange flashes illuminated the night sky over cities worldwide. Emergency broadcasts calmly informed people to continue normal activities, but remain indoors if possible. Within 6 hours, the battle was effectively over. 3/4 of the Vorax fleet had been disabled without destruction. The remainder retreated in disarray, abandoning their command ship and many of their forces. A new galactic order. 5 years after the Battle of Earth, the galactic landscape had transformed completely. What historians now call the liberation had begun with Earth's successful defense and spread rapidly across former Vorax territory. Ryan Morgan stood at the window of the orbital station Unity, watching Earth rotate slowly beneath him. As chief diplomat for humanity, he had spent these years helping forge a new kind of interstellar community. "Beautiful view," said a voice behind him. Tala, the crystalline resistance leader who had worked with Greg during the infiltration mission, now served as representative for the Crystalline Confederation. "I never tire of it," Ryan admitted, "especially knowing what we almost lost." The station's main chamber was filling with delegates for the 7th meeting of the Galactic Council. 23 species now participated, each formerly under Vorax control or threatened by their expansion. At the center of the chamber stood the council table, a circular platform with spaces for each delegation. Earth's position was notable but not central. Ryan had insisted from the beginning that humanity would be an equal partner, not a replacement ruler. "We begin in 10 minutes, his assistant reminded him. Ryan nodded and moved toward the Earth delegation's position. The chamber quieted as representatives took their places. Some floated in special containment fields, others stood on mechanical platforms, and some, like humans, simply sat in chairs designed for their physiology. "I call this council to order," announced the rotating chairperson, a tall being from the aquatic world of Marin. "Our first order of business. Final ratification of the Charter of Rights." Ryan felt a sense of pride as the document appeared on displays around the room. 2 years of careful negotiation had produced a framework that respected the unique needs of each species while establishing common principles of self-determination and mutual defense. "Before we vote," Ryan said, standing to address the gathering, "I wish to thank everyone for their patience during this process. Earth is young compared to many of your civilizations. We've learned much from you all." Zell, now head of the Naren delegation, made the clicking sound that indicated appreciation in his language. "And we have learned from Earth. You showed us that unity against oppression was possible." The charter passed unanimously. As celebrations began, Ryan slipped away to a quieter observation deck. Greg Martinez joined him there, now serving as head of Earth's Interstellar Security Cooperation. "Not bad for a species that only learned about aliens 8 years ago," Greg commented. Ryan smiled. "We had good motivation. Nothing unites people like a common threat." "The question is what happens now that the threat is gone," Greg said. "The remaining Vorax have retreated to their homeworld. The liberation fleets have freed the last occupied planets." "That's why the charter matters," Ryan replied. "We're building something based on more than fear or power. The Vorax rule through dominance. We're offering partnership." Below them, shuttles arrived bringing materials for the expansion of Unity Station. Each member world contributed resources and technology, creating something greater than any could have built alone. A small vessel caught Ryan's attention, unusual in design, from no known species. "What's that?" he asked. Greg checked his datapad. "Interesting. It's requesting diplomatic contact. Their signal identifies them as the Arcadians. They're from beyond former Vorax space, a species we haven't encountered before. They've heard about us. Word travels fast when an empire falls." Ryan watched as the vessel docked smoothly with the station. "And so it begins again. First contact, but this time with us meeting them as equals from the start." As evening fell across Earth, citizens went about their lives mostly unaware of the historic meeting taking place above them. Children played in parks where defense bunkers had once been prepared. Universities taught classes about interstellar cultures. Artists created works inspired by alien concepts. Humanity had transformed from an isolated, vulnerable species to a respected member of a galactic community. The warning they had issued years ago, "We're ready and waiting," had evolved into something more profound. "We're ready to build together." Ryan straightened his jacket and headed toward the diplomatic reception area. Another new beginning awaited. And this time, there was no need for warnings, only welcome.